Welcome back to the Street Shaman Podcast. I am your host, Shamanic Poe, aka Poe and the Rockstar. And today I'm here with my homie and CPTSD expert, Richard Grannon. How you doing, my guy?
I'm very well, thank you, sir. How have you been?
I've been.
That's good. I have been, and now I'm fucking done.
So, what's the status right now of the Richard Grannon YouTube channel?
That's a good question. I just recorded some new content for it in the studio here in Prague, and we're going to release a video with Sam Vaknin, me interviewing Sam Vaknin, and another one on my sort of changing approach to psychology. And it's actually a video that's addressed to psychotherapists rather than just the clients this time. So I'll be releasing some new material there. I will be. It's just, as I said in December, there's a whole chapter that's closed for me in terms of just churning out like that type of content. And the content that's actually, interestingly enough, mate, the content that's doing really well on there now is more to do with the collapse of civilization than anything to do with psychology.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I think there's just priorities shifting. I think collectively we sense that like there's a big change on the horizon, and so people.
Oh, I think we lost you. Damn it. We might have lost Richard Grannon. We might have lost. Good. Oh, there you go. You're back.
Sorry about that, mate. Dodgy connection here.
It's all good.
Where did you hear me up to?
You was just about to explain about what's going on with the lab.
Okay. Yeah. So like there's a whole episode, a whole chapter that's closed as far as that channel goes. I will produce some more content there, and I think the collapse of civilization stuff is of more interest to people now. It's taken like a greater priority than anything else, and I do a pretty good job of exploring that and explaining it in a way that people like. So I'll be looking at that as well.
Right. Yeah. Did you see the video I sent you about free speech being terrorism now in the U.S.?
Yes. Yeah. You've sent me some good videos. Was that one of the Jimmy Dore videos?
Yeah, Jimmy Dore. Yep.
It's a worrying trajectory to go down. Like what is considered terrorism now has become, well, I mean, like 5 years ago, you'd have to cut a motherfucker's head off with a knife whilst they begged for mercy. And now if you say poopy, that I'm like, I don't know how we became such sensitive little fucking pussies.
Training. It was training and brainwashing, little by little, stringing us along. Yeah. I noticed that I was like, when it comes to certain things, I'm ahead of things. Yeah. Like I'm way too ahead. Like, oh, you're too far ahead. We're over here doing this shit. And I was very sensitive about like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I was extremely sensitive. Like you couldn't say the R word, the F word. You couldn't say, any of those words. I was not digging that. Like, nah, dog, What you doing? Why you saying that word? Like, what? So, but just like being ahead, usually I find myself going, okay, now it's time to move on.
Right.
I find something that goes, all right, this doesn't make total sense. Now I need to move forward. And I think a lot of people just haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, there's a shift, isn't there? I think, and a lot of us are going through it. A lot of us are finding ourselves moving around the political compass. We're moving in different directions along the political compass through the x-axis and the y-axis, and reviewing our beliefs and sort of thinking, oh, okay, there's some stuff that seems like a really fucking good idea in the beginning, but then you play it out along a long enough timeline, and suddenly it's not that great of an idea anymore. It becomes shitty, or it becomes the opposite of what it should have been, or it does the opposite of the thing that it was supposed to do in the beginning. The title of this podcast here, for example, it's this hyper loaded word around the world, but particularly in American culture, where I know why you asked me about the equivalence thing. It's like Joe Rogan said this, coded, it's code because all language is code. Therefore, he may be aligned with actual terrorists, like white nationalist, extremist terrorist organizations. And you think, okay, you're allowed to infer certain things, but that seems like a bit of a fucking leap.
Right. I noticed the types that have been talking about this in certain different podcasts because I'm all over the place. I watch all types of different shit. Like if I'm gonna watch certain things, I'm not just gonna watch one facet of a topic. I'm gonna try to go and see the other point of view. And
Which is
what
the
I've been
intelligent
seeing,
thing to do.
I try. But what what I've been seeing recently is a lot of the black podcasts that have been going on talking badly about Joe Rogan always say, I never watched the full episode, but so what are you doing? If you never watched the full episode?
They're judging a book by its cover. They're taking a thin slice of Joe Rogan and going and inferring a bunch of stuff because a bald-headed, muscly white guy in a muscle t-shirt means something in the same way that, like, if it was a black dude with the baseball cap and oversized clothing and chains and a limp, that would mean something.
Right.
And this is, I know the point you're making, like, we're coming full circle now. But the irony is the people who are anti-racism and anti-prejudice are making thin-sliced, that's a Malcolm Gladwell expression, the psychologist Malcolm Gladwell from Blink. He says, we can look, and who is, he's, I think, mixed heritage, but partly black. He's from New York. And he says, we look at situations and we thin slice, we blink, we make an assessment within seconds. It's very normal. We overuse our visual, what do you call that? Sense. Fucking hell, I forgot the word for sense. Got no fucking sense left, mate.
You're like me. I just be forgetting stupid little words. And that goes into my next question though. Why is it we, like, as a whole, as a collective, have a hard time seeing the person for who they are and the character, like, in their personality, instead of, like, we just, oh, you're a bald, juiced up dude, you must be a racist guy that's a fucking knucklehead or whatever. Like, why is it that we are so easy, or it's so easy for us to just jump to that to that side or another without, like, taking some time to really assess who they are? Like,
well, the book Blink, it's a little out of fashion now, but at the time when it came out, which is in the early 2000s, the Malcolm Gladwell book, he goes deep into this, because he's American, he's of color, and it was of interest to him. And he even explored, he didn't do the studies himself, but he analyzes the studies that were done where you could prove that there was a negative prejudicial leaning, even by the Black American demographic against other Black Americans. And he was like, well, as a Black American, I'd like to fucking know why we ourselves would. So they would show them pictures, different ethnicities. So you'd have, like, people from Southeast Asia, white people, but and then they were asked to make assessments about the intention of the people in the pictures, and there was a statistical proven leaning, even when Black people looking at other Black people, to assume a negative intent. And he described it as being, this is the whole concept of Blink. We thin slice because we are animals that were raised, that sounds religious. We evolved, in harsh environments of great threat and low resources. And our eyes are very, very fast. Your eyes are actually an extension of your brain. They actually, they extend out like tentacles from the brain out the front. And it goes straight into your frontal cortex. And then when fast information comes, it encourages you to become adrenalized and to make quick decisions. It's not like touch or smell, or even when you hear something, this is proven, like physiology, you'll make slower decisions, more reason. But when it's quick, you go fast. And the decisions that you make based on purely visual stimuli are more emotional. And he made this great case within the book, like, we as human beings have evolved to think quickly. We don't have the time to sit and go, oh, there's 50 Cent. I don't know him, but he's kind of muscly looking, and he's probably just like this. And they don't sit there and listen to him talk for half an hour and go, oh, actually, this guy is like, he's a businessman, he's an entrepreneur, he's been very successful in multiple fields, TV shows, music. He has amazing life experiences. He's traveled here. There's a lot more than a dude in a baseball cap who's going to jack you.
Right.
But you'd have to sit, who's got fucking, not everybody walking down the street in somewhere like New York, for example, is going to have the time to be like, okay, let me take out 40 minutes of my day to learn who you are. You're not just a white guy. You're from Chechnya, and your father's an amazing, I don't know, pottery, like some amazing, like who the fuck cares? It's like now, oh, it's a white dude, there's a black dude, there's an Asian, like that's why we're like this. And the internet moves fast. The trends on the internet's a predominantly visual medium. It goes fast. They're under pressure. You said the black podcasts, like all podcasts, were under pressure to respond quickly to current events. Right. Joe Rogan, thin slice, bald white dude with muscles. What did he say? He said the N-word multiple times. Fuck that guy. That would probably be my response too if I hadn't sat listening to Joe Rogan for fucking, how long have we been listening to him for? 10 years, 12 years?
10 years at least, yeah. And it's crazy because it goes into kind of what you were talking about yesterday with Tentacle Croissant with Pierre, the extreme like people pleasing aspect to it. So you're a black podcast. They're talking about, Joe Rogan saying nigga. So now you're like, oh, now I got to defend it because what if they just start thinking, what do my fans or what do my subscribers, my listeners would think, or what would they want me to say?
Yes.
And then they go with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So they do to recap what we discussed with Pierre yesterday, Pierre made the point that we're all forced to pander, Pander, not Panda, that nice hip hop track from 3 years ago. So we all pander, codependently trying to feed the audience, and I'm not for that. And I'm saying to Pierre, stop. Like, just be confrontational, just be antagonistic. As long as it's the truth, whatever you have left, if you lose all of them, whatever you have left is yours. Interestingly enough, I don't know if you saw it, there's a meme, it might not even be true, it's going around on TikTok and on Instagram just in this last week of Fat Joe saying that he had like an entourage of 50 people, and he told all of them that he was broke. He just said, I'm broke, the party's over, there's no more money, and only 6 remained. Did you see this one? I heard that story before. I heard that story. So is it true? It's actually a true story.
Yeah.
Okay. Fat Joe's an interesting case anyway. I'm gonna bring him up again in a second.
Okay.
But that idea of not pandering and then whatever you have left is real. It's a super important point. And I think it's me, mate. I don't like division because it's never the real division that it should be. Us, like working class people, dividing along ethnic lines just has the evil overlords going, this is wonderful.
Exactly.
Hate each other because of melanin.
Exactly. It keeps us separated so we can never be strong enough to form like Voltron and fuck some shit up and make some changes.
We would be an unstoppable force. We would be an absolutely fucking unstoppable force if it wasn't for fear and xenophobia and a lack of exposure, quite frankly. It's just a lack of exposure. If we were all caused to live alongside each other, I'm not saying it wouldn't become a wonderful utopia. There would still be friction, but there'd be way less because we have far more in common with each other than we have not in common with each other, if you know what I mean.
Right. And you saying the lack of exposure, it means a lot to me because I know you're a well-traveled man, and I'm not well-traveled, but I'm traveled. And going even into different pockets of the United States, you can see different things, and you could watch how people that never left that little area act to certain things like race and that person's of a different religion or whatever the fuck it is. It's bewildering to me. I hope that everybody gets the chance to actually travel and see the other side of the fence, and on the other side of the tracks. so that way they can come to a better understanding of what this world really is.
Right. And it would it would be good if we could. I like the way that you've traveled in a way, this internal travel within the multiverse of America. I've never done that. And I think I think you've seen something. Everybody who's toured America will have had this experience, because most Americans haven't like that. There's just no need to.
Right.
But traveling that multiverse, I think, is really interesting and gives you a much more nuanced understanding of the fact that there are many Americas. There's no such America. There's Americas.
Right.
Idaho is fucking not New Jersey. And, you know, Ohio is a California, and so on. It reminds me, the last time I was in the Dominican Republic, I was there with a girl, and her background is Iraqi, and there was, in the Dominican, everybody's there. There's Americans there, all ethnicities are there, all Russians there, everybody's there. And there was a group, we were on sunbeds, and there was a group, like quite a loud group of girls from, I think they're from Chicago, and they were like 5 of them, 3 sunbed rows back. And they were pretty loud, they were pretty drunk. And at one point, the girl I was with, she was play fighting with me, and she got on top of me, on top of the sunbed, and she heard these black girls were shouting over at her, and she ducked under the thing. And I said, "Why are you ducking?" And she's never been exposed to that group. And she said, "Oh my God, those black girls are shouting at me." And I said, "Yes, they're saying, 'Get him, girl, get him.' They're encouraging you. They're not shouting at you like, 'Stop beating your boy.' They're like, 'Get him, go, get him, go.'" And she was like, "Oh, okay." And so she was like shouting back and smiling. That to me, I was like, that's just a lack of exposure. That's all that is. So I say, "Hey, yo," or I shout, or I do it in Scouse and be, "All right, lads." And you go, "What the fuck was that noise that just came out your mouth?" You don't even know what that signal is. The signal is, it's good, man. It's all good. But if you're from a different culture, you'd be like, "Oh, this man is shouting at me for no reason." It's just a lack of exposure.
Exactly. And what I've noticed about the lack of exposure, I feel like, maybe this is me just with my tinfoil hat here, but I feel like a lot of it was designed. We keep these people over here, we keep these people over there. You know, it's like city people are very scared. I know from experience, my friends, they're very scared to be out in the boonies, or even to be in a place like where I'm at, where I'm 45 minutes from Chicago, but this is a country area. It's more suburban like. And a lot of them are afraid to be around those, like be out here, because of what they believe is out here. Right. And vice versa. Like my girl's from here. She barely left here outside of the couple times that we went to Florida together and shit. She still, I could tell she still has a little sense of, I know she's in the chat, she's going to talk some shit, but I know she has a little sense, like she has a little sense of fear of like going to Chicago. We still haven't went to Chicago. You know, we're 45 minutes away. We still never took the drive to go up there and go to Chicago. Because I think there's a little bit of fear within like what she's been told. Because when you're out in the country, oh, don't go over there because they're going to do this, and vice versa. In the city, oh, don't go to the country. There's KKK members. There's like.
Yeah, I always tell the story of when I was 21 getting lost in Compton, and having to sort of pull over to a chicken shack and just ask for directions. And it was pretty rough wherever we were. It was Long Beach. And it was pawn shop, liquor store, chicken shack, pawn stop, but you know. But it was fine. Like, we had a conversation and we were given directions ultimately, and off we go. It happened again just last year. Oh, fuck. What was do you know where Boys in the Hood is set? We're in LA, and it's supposed to be bad.
I'm not sure. Inglewood, yeah.
And we were lost in Inglewood. And I'm saying to my girlfriend, like, we were trying to find fuel. I ran the tank down to nothing, and we were trying to find fuel. And she was like, "Oh, this seems like a nice area." I was like, I grew up on rap music telling me that this was a murder zone. It is a quiet, suburban, nice lawns, cars, neat. That's it. I was like, where's my Inglewood? My Inglewood is like, you know, drive-bys and shit. Maybe it was.
It's most likely that there's a spot that you didn't reach where it was really spicy, but normally that's how it is in all these different places. I've been told. I used to travel to Cleveland all the time. Oh, don't go to Cleveland, it's bad. And yeah, there's a certain area of Cleveland where it's like the fucking street lights don't even work, and there's a bunch of city like city environment, big buildings, weeds growing out of the fucking concrete, and it's disgusting. And you don't want to be over there. It's crackheads. You can see them out in the street. You can see people plotting, but that's such a small chunk of what Cleveland actually is.
Yes.
So people don't know any better. The news is fucking telling you, don't go over there. There's murderers. There's somebody died. Somebody got shot.
Well, and films too. I mean, like, there's no. This is why I always say, like, we live in a consumer capitalist society, and that's the problem. We're brainwashed because we want excitement, we want drama, news, movies, TV shows. You said about Americans being afraid of the country. Look at movies like The Hills Have Eyes or Deliverance. That's a city dwellers' terror that they're going to get out in the country and fucked by Bubba and the other guys with no teeth. You know?
Wrong turn, yeah, exactly.
You ain't from around here, are you, boy? What? And you just think, okay, obviously, like you just said, there's elements of that there, but it can't all be that. It can't just be just fucking miles and miles. It would collapse. Like, there has to be something else. But yeah, there's the focus on negativity is a natural human instinct, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I remember going, I was in South Ohio. The guy was from West Virginia. He was dating a chick for a small period of time, and her uncle came out. He's from West Virginia. They have a certain type of talk there. Certain ones, the ones from the mountains, they sound like Hills Have Eyes or fucking Wrong Turn type people. They talk like, and he came to the car to try to scare me and be like, and I was looking at him, laughing at him, like, what do you want? Like, what are you trying to get out of me? Like, and then he was like, oh, I'm just fucking with you, man. Like, that was his whole thing for people that, he's from the city. I'm gonna go fuck with him with the. But anyway, you brought up horror movies, and that made me think of the recent Texas Chainsaw Massacre that was released. Mm-hmm. And just like everything else, and I'm sure because you were talking to Pierre about this yesterday, it's politically fueled with certain characters that fit a certain mold. You know, you have your lesbian, masculine woman type of archetype. You have so they changed it completely where they brought city people into Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Excuse me.
You're fine. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So now everybody's like, people are having a fucking fit because, first of all, you took the blonde girl and you slaughtered her the first chance you got. Then you took the lesbian women, or the ones that are because they really didn't have like any kind of intercourse or anything like that. So masculine women, they were the winners.
Okay.
They're the ones that survived, or one of them survived. Anyway, I know I'm spoiling it for people, but it's not that big of a movie. I mean, the kills were great. The kills were fantastic if you like kills and shit like that. But outside of that, it was shit. The girl, one of the younger girls, she had to make a point to say while she was fucking with Leatherface, I'm strong. I survived a school shooting. What does that got to do with Leatherface? Leatherface don't give a fuck about your school shooting. Like, Leatherface gonna cut you in half.
Save your message for your fucking blog. The message, it just terrible. So often gets in the way of actual entertainment now, and it's so palpably false. I wanted to ask you, vis-a-vis the title of this thing, and Fat Joe as well. I think we had this conversation before. I used to have as a ringtone New York by Fat Joe. And the N-bomb has dropped a lot in that. And it wasn't just the tone of it, it was the actual lyrics of the song would play when my phone rang. I didn't know for years that that he was Puerto Rican. I had no idea.
What you thought he was?
I didn't. I was just an American rapper. It was just a different, like, for English people, maybe less today, but back then, the idea of like categorizing people by race, I knew he wasn't white, but unless there's no politically correct way of saying this. Unless you've been around an ethnicity for a while, you don't have the brain software to pick it up. So when I first went to Malaysia, I couldn't tell the difference between somebody who was Malay and a Thai. Mm-hmm. And after 2 years, I was like, was I dumb? Like, it's clearly obvious who the fuck is Malay and who's. But I swear to God, my mate would be saying to me, "You're fucking with me," and I'm like, I can't tell. I can't see the difference. We're in a shopping mall. And he's going, "Well, where are they from?" I don't know. Where are they from? I don't know. Couldn't see it. But the weird thing was, and for people who are outside of America, the rules on the N word, if you're Puerto Rican, you can actually say it, right?
Yeah. I mean, there is a small minority of Puerto Ricans that if they said it, it would be like, dude, what are you trying to do? Because you're not really from the street. You're more of a conservative Puerto Rican. So your parents didn't let you out. You are like cookie cut.
If Ricky Martin started dropping the N word, do you think that would go over differently?
It would go over a little different. Yeah. But like when you're from like the streets and you're out there.
Yeah.
And you've been around people, and this is the shit that kills me because I know white dudes that from the streets that would never say nigga or shit like that, but there are some that do.
Yeah.
There are some that do, and depending on your social group, they might let it slide because you are a nigga to them. You from the streets, you was riding out, you did all the bullshit with them, so this guy.
So for people who didn't catch that, if you are an N-word, you can say it because then it's not. It doesn't mean vertical. Oh, you're beneath me with the er. It just means guy. It just means dude in that context, then, doesn't it?
Right. Just guy, dude.
Yeah.
Basically, and so. I've always grew up saying it. No one ever told me nothing. Actually, growing up, my best friends were black. So I was one of the Puerto Ricans that hung out with the black guys and everybody else. All these other Puerto Ricans over here, they would say nigga too, but some of them were still racist. Some of them would still be like, I don't like black guys because of whatever the fuck happened in their life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's tricky.
So where do you stand on this thing with Joe Rogan then, where he's said it multiple times? What do you think about that? Do you think it's a condemnable offense?
No, I've watched him when he said it the first time. I didn't need the compilation. I was watching the show when he was saying it, and what I liked was he said it in a certain type of context.
Yeah,
like. And I don't think that any word should have that much power. I think that's just absurd. I think you shouldn't do that. Like, that's just for people to be like, I can say it, but you can't, is a little ridiculous. It's all more or less to me about the context. If you're talking, that's my nigga, and you from the streets or you from that type of lifestyle, and you talk like that, then that's how you talk.
Right.
I'm never gonna condemn you for saying a word.
Right.
It's just ridiculous. Like there was a point in time in my life, like I said in the beginning of this podcast, that I did feel like everybody should be super sensitive. Yeah. But at that point in time, I was not taking in the information. I wasn't even trying to take the information in from all angles. I was doing the narrow scope of things.
Yeah.
And that's where people are at right now.
Yes.
As a whole, so.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. I when I looked at it from the outside, I was just like, look, it is what it is. And the smart thing for pink people to do is to just say N-word. You can't be wrong, my pink brothers. If you just say the N-word, if you just say N-word, not
N-word.
The N-word.
It's ridiculous, man. I think it's all ridiculous. So I wanted to ask you, how was your trip in Dubai? I know that was one of those things that happened a long time ago for you, but I wanted to ask you.
That was a wild experience. Speaking of race and racism, that was a fucking wild experience. Dubai is that they're like the Nazis of the Middle East. you so in the United Arab Emirates, if you're Emirati, so you're from the Emirates, you're Emirati, and you're living in Dubai, you are the highest class. You're like in a different class as a citizen. But they're a tiny minority. The overwhelming majority of human beings who are there are Indians, and they're in the lowest caste. If you accept that it's a caste system outside of the Indian caste system, that there is, with the exception possibly of some Africans who work there, depending on where in Africa they've come. If they're sub-Saharan Africans, depending on what they do, they're neck and neck for that. The reason why I say jokingly that it's kind of like Nazis is they only want strong young people there. And if you want a work visa to be there, you have to pass a rigorous medical test where they check your lungs, they check your brain, they check you for HIV, STDs. If you are not young and capable of work, if you're not Emirati, you cannot stay in that country. You will be denied your work visa. So they keep it very, very strong and clean. And it's what is left is basically a race-based caste and class system, and it's brutal. It's just in your face. There's no shame with it. It's not like Westerners who are like, oh, we have one, but let's cover it up a little bit. No, it's just what it is. What it is. You don't like it? There's the fucking airport. Go home. And so I would just say to people who are following influencers who go over there, you know, sharing pictures of themselves drinking glasses of champagne, like it's a pretty dark place for some people there. They have their passports taken off them. They live in horrendous conditions, and they die. Many people die working there, in what is borderline slavery. So yeah, it was a real eye-opening experience for me.
Yeah, you couldn't enjoy it. I know you probably was thinking, I'm gonna have a good fucking time. I'm gonna go out there. Dubai, everybody's saying Dubai is the shit. They got a whole new city. It's brand fucking new. Just happened like yesterday. And then you went out there and you're like, I can't enjoy myself knowing that these people are living like this. The ones that are actually working here, I gotta fucking see that.
You can't not see it. Like, there's a really strong underground bachata scene there. Underground because the regulations for the Roro are still strong, and it's like every night of the week. And there's a lot of Latin Americans living there, and then you've got like people from Egypt, Morocco, and the Yemen, and they're actually the quality of the dancing is high. It's actually pretty fucking high, mainly because they're doing it all the fucking time. They're dancing all the time. So I had my son. I had good gyms. The women there are amazing, and I had my bachata. And yeah, I just didn't fucking feel good, mate. I was like, you know, even just trying to get a taxi, and then I'm like talking to somebody, and I hear their life story and shit. I'm just like, fucking hell, man. So yeah, no, it was hard to enjoy. Really tough.
No doubt. Yeah, that hurts my feelings because I did want to go to Dubai too. I'm like, damn, Dubai would be dope. For me, I like roller coasters and amusement parks. So like, I would go for that. Like, I'm gonna go straight to. I wanted to DM you and be like, go to the Ferrari fucking amusement park and get on a ride. Fuck all the bullshit. So anyway, I heard in one of your last videos, I don't know if it's the last, but one of the last ones that you made a mention that like when you do certain things, or maybe not when you do certain things, but you said something about that you're not really here.
Yeah.
What's that all about, Richard? You're not really here. I thought you was right here. I mean, we're in the camera and shit, but I thought you was right here.
You saw American Psycho, right, where he takes off.
Is that you? Is that you? You take.
Paul Allen's business card is beautiful. Yeah, I think like we were doing an interview with a young filmmaker called Sophie, and she interviewed me for about 4 hours, and what you get is like a 10-minute clip. So she managed to get quite deep into, because she was saying, you seem psychologically healthy, and I'm like, well, yeah, you know, a lot of people who are recovering from the type of shit that I've recovered from, you've recovered from, we seem fine,
right?
But you're interacting with a whole like clockwork series of artifices. I have to seem fine in order to survive in this world, but there isn't really a me here. There's the me that's the authentic me is quite small, it's quite fragile, it's quite weak, and the rest is it's a fawn response. I just give the world what they seem to want, in the hopes that they'll leave me the fuck alone, which again is that's a trauma response. That's an adverse childhood environment trauma response. You want to be left alone because you fundamentally see the world and the people in it as dangerous and evil. So yeah, no, in many ways, nobody's talking here right now.
Yeah, that made me think about some shit, because I'm like, yeah, sometimes I'm not really there. I'm just like, yeah. Like, I remember you made mention of going back to do some door work, be a security, be a bouncer and shit. And right now I'm working, like, every now and then it's like, fuck it, let's go get a job. I'm gonna fucking work. I'm working at a hotel. And it's like, when I'm working at a hotel, I'm not there. I got a script that I gotta tell you. I will humor you if you have a story that you feel like you need to get off your chest. Like, oh yeah, that's great. Oh, yeah, that's how it goes. And I just say like little catchphrase. Yeah, that's how it goes. But really, I'm not there engaging with you. So that's how I took it. That's how I interpret it. Is that kind of like what you do?
Yeah, I think what you're doing at work is basic profession is basically what professionalism is, and people should conduct themselves this way in business and employment. It is the correct method. Like, you can't be there at work, somebody says to you, hey, how's your day? And you're like, well, I'm fucking depressed and I'm struggling with my addiction to this. And no, just put up a front, do your fucking job, get paid, go home. It's when it goes into your personal life, and it's not that I willfully do this, it's that I instinctively and unconsciously do this. So at every area of my life, there's very little of an authentic person with a will and drives and desires there. I'm working on it. It's getting better, but there's just at the innermost core of me, there just isn't an awful lot there. It's like a reverse narcissism. It's the opposite of a narcissistic response. Well, not the opposite. It's the mirror of a narcissistic response. The narcissist becomes the ultimate predator. They want to be the sexiest, the funniest, the most charming, the highest up the hierarchy to dominate others. The codependent echo response is you want to be the ultimate prey, and such small, tiny, pathetic prey that you're not even worth eating. You just get ignored. You just want to disappear and be ignored, basically. So the real me is enjoying solace and privacy and silence somewhere deep within me, whilst the me out here is like, hey, how's it going? And when I carve up my victims at Potent, it's exactly the same. I feel nothing at all. When that chainsaw starts, that's the happiest I get.
Funny shit you said yesterday, which I've always despised about Russell Brand. Like, I love his content. I love Russell Brand as an actor. I love this shit that he did on media, where he just broke everybody down about where we at in the world, and then people just look stupid. Like, but funniest shit you said was like, Russell Brand, like, you beautiful, wonderful, 5 million, and like all that bullshit that he does.
Yeah.
It's people pleasing. It's kind of like, he has to know. He's smart enough. He's more intelligent. He's intelligent enough to know.
That's why I'm angry with him.
To not be like that. Like,
I know he knows. He knows 100% what the fuck he's doing. He knows that that's completely insincere. He knows he's pandering. Listen, Russell's been very, very open about his own narcissistic traits. He's high on the narcissistic spectrum. He has the power to do real good in the world. He is he's not an intellectual powerhouse, but he's got the kind of street smarts. He's a lad from Essex behind all that. And he's got the kind of street smarts to really see through bullshit. But I think he lets himself fall prey to vanity and way too much. And I've had problems with Russell before. I don't wish him anything, but like I want him to do well because he's in a position, not because I give a fuck, but he could have a good effect in the world. He could have a good effect in the world. So I hope he does well. I really liked him in the movies he did as well. Like Get Him to the Greek. I thought he was fucking great. His stand-up comedy is good. And you're right. His understanding and his analysis of mainstream media is spot on. But he's on a cycle right now where he has to produce 3 videos a week. Or is it 4? He's doing a lot.
He's doing a lot. Oh, yeah. Damn near every day. It's like damn near every day.
And it's becoming insincere. It's becoming empty. And he's following a script. It's largely written by other people. They say what they do. I know what they do. They start with the title and the thumbnail, and then they write the script afterwards because they want it to be as clickable as possible to make as much money off Google Ads. It's capitalism. No problem at all. He's entertaining and he's educating.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but
it's okay.
One of the things that I did see that he does as well is like he'll put the title up and then he'll change the title of the same video. Then he'll change it again.
Not him. Not him. He has
obviously
team.
Not him, but it's changed like 3 times. All right, that didn't catch you. I'm going to hit you with this one. All right, that didn't catch you. I'm gonna hit you. So it's obvious that it's somewhat predatory. Like you're trying to, like you didn't put your stuff out and then whoever accepts it. No, you put yourself out, but you're trying to like pinpoint certain demographic or certain people that, you feel kind of.
It's psychopathic capitalism, man. You're 100% right. It's clearly psychopathic capitalism to make money. Fine. Don't tickle my fucking ball bag and tell me you're a socialist fucking messiah and that we're all on a path to enlightenment together. We're on a path to fucking fill your bank account as much as possible. Just don't lie to me. Just don't pander to the fucking audience and lie to people and suck their fucking dinglings at the beginning of the video. Hello, you wonderful 5 million shining stars. Fuck off. Just get on with it. The fucking Russians have just invaded Ukraine. Ukraine is like a 10-hour drive from where I'm sat right now. The Ukrainian president is saying all the men in this country join the army now to fight the invading Russians. And Russell's doing that. I'm like, man, get you either do it and be for the people and for a real revolutionary moment and a real revolutionary movement, or get the fuck out the way. But don't lie, man. Don't fucking. You can't be. He's done this before, and he's done it. That's what pisses me off. He convinced people during a British election not to vote, and then the leader of the Labour Party got hold of him. Sorry, a spokesperson, not the leader for the Labour, a spokesperson for the Labour Party got hold of him, butted him up for one night, and the next day Russell said, "Okay, everybody vote Labour." I was like, just for fuck's sake, his vanity, his weakness is vanity, unfortunately.
Right, absolutely. I think the same thing, man. So I heard about yesterday. I seen you watch 20 minutes of Euphoria. And you absolutely
I did that for Pierre because he's a good friend. I was like Alex in A Clockwork Orange. I was like, stop. No.
It is very beautifully directed and produced, but I've tried to watch it about 3 times now because I keep hearing it from every fucking person. Oh, Euphoria. So I try to watch it 3 times. It just makes me tired. It does not do anything for me. It's a good thing to put on if you're trying to go to sleep, but what is your disdain for that type of content?
Well, I've been thinking about it and I'm trying to attack it from another angle. Like, what would people say about the shit that I like? I don't like much. I loved The Sopranos when it came out. I already liked gangster movies. I already was interested in organized crime. It's a real fascinating subculture in America. I know it's not like that anymore. It's changed. And they chose not to focus on the big New York mobsters, but the smaller set over in New York. And I was like, that's just fucking cool. And I want to know that. I'm curious. It was cleverly written. It's a kitchen sink drama in some ways. It's got psychoanalysis. It's got murder. It's got all of the good things. And I'm like, okay, that's entertaining. It's dark. I'm looking at bad characters. These are narcissistic psychopaths. These are horrible people, and I'm rooting for them. And it's done with a sense of humor and panache. And he just did a great job. It's one of the, for me, it's one of the best series that's ever been made. This is like, felt to me like slopping out for pigs, just throwing slop in a trench for the pigs to feed on before slaughter. Pierre made the point about the cinematography as well, and you're right, but in this day and age, there is literally a million billion cinematographers gagging for work. We have the best cameras now, beautiful. There is no excuse for it not to look amazing. Well, right. I'm not taking good, well done, but seriously, you've got no excuse for it not looking amazing. There's no excuse for bad acting. And it isn't badly acted. It's actually well acted. Cinematography is great. Right. Tick. They did what they're supposed to do. The writing is my problem. And I'm like, for me, what are we doing here? What is the story we're telling? Who's it for? What are we showing people? It's just slop. It's just the fucking human centipede in Hollywood again. People being force-fed other people's digested ideas that are digested from other people's ideas and other people's ideas, and we're fucking 10th in line. You know, it's garbage. It's fucking garbage. And I'm like, well, you know, you start an episode with a young girl who's kind of humble bragging about her mental health issues. She's got all those acronyms. She's humble bragging about how fucked up she is and how she only feels alive when she's taking drugs and drinking. And I'm just like, honestly, there's nothing revolutionary or interesting to me about that. I've seen that story told 1,000 times. I was bored to tears. The character setup that they use now, Netflix, HBO, all of them, it's shit. Because you know that the writer's going, and here's the character setup. And I'm like, fuck, do something interesting. Right. Tony Soprano went from a fucking therapy session where he bared his soul outside to seeing somebody who owed him money and beat the fuck out of him with his nephew, Moltisanti. That's interesting. So I see you're showing me something about this character. He has this side of him and this side of his life, and he also is this. Now I'm interested. I don't give a fuck about this. I'm sorry. Like, people be saying, oh, you don't care about children's mental health. I do. I don't care about that character. I can't sit there being like, oh, wow. And really? She has mental health issues? Astonishing. And she takes drugs? My goodness, none of us have ever taken drugs. I just think, oh, fuck off. I can sense the writer's intent. And I'm like, no, this is boring. And then in the first episode, a middle-aged married man will roughly sodomize a 16-year-old underage trans girl. Oh, how shocking. What else have you got for me? Then we fucked a pig in the eye and pissed on a kitten's head. Great. What else, Satan? Shit in my mouth.
Right. Exactly. It's doing a lot of pandering as well.
It's huge pandering exercise. Huge.
I've seen, you know, that is a reality for certain groups. Like, I've had the certain groups that are friends that I had in the past that are all long gone. Those motherfuckers lived like Euphoria.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you were only making the kind of music you were making when you were at that age because of you were living that, and or your friends were rather.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's just a lot of people nowadays that are living the drug life. They are living the depressed life. And they don't know how to get out of it. I mean, it's kind of hard to get out of some shit that you put yourself into, but
yeah, okay. Come on though. They could also harden the fuck up.
Exactly.
Like you did, like I did. Exactly. You know, It's not that hard. And at a certain point you have to say, listen here, you fuck, you're languishing. You're malingering in the military hospital because you'd rather be here having the nurses wash your balls than be back in the fucking trenches. Get out. Nobody's saying that to these kids. No, we're saying the opposite. We're saying languish in your misery.
Right. I think not like when it comes to narcissism, it's at an all-time high. I haven't, like, when what was it, like a 10% is supposed to be a narcissistic personality disorder or some shit.
Full blown is supposed to be it's supposed to actually only be about 3%, 2 to 3%, even now.
I thought this a long time ago. Even when you were saying it, Sam Backman was saying, I was like, fuck no, there is no way. It has to be at least like 15 to 20% of the people, because it's like 1 out of 5 that you run into that are kind of like that. It's fucked, and that's the reason why this is so big nowadays. This is why this show is like such a big deal. Everybody got to see it. You got to, like, I grew up in the 90s. The one movie that we had that was similar to that was Kids.
Yes. Yeah.
The indie obscure type movie that was like at the rental place that you'll run over there and get that one tape before it's gone and shit.
Yeah.
Kids was a big deal for assholes like me when we were in the streets. I was in the streets like 7, 8 years old. So yeah, we loved Kids, but should everyone love kids now? Everyone should love Euphoria.
Yeah, it's the mainstreaming of misery and sadness and sexual depravity, moral degeneracy. I know I sound like a conservative, but I'm still on the left. But for me, it was like social liberalism meant you do what you want to do. Like, if you're gay and you're a man and that's who you want to have sex with, go do that. Enjoy. Right. And nobody should hurt you. Nobody should stab you for that. You should go do it. It didn't include brainwash your children to be gay. If you're trans, be trans. It never included brainwash children to be trans at all. And I don't know where the shift happened, where we just went, no, like, your kid can have mental health issues. And now it's become, no, they must. They must. The only cool kids have like 3 different mental health issues and are on 2 different prescription meds. I'm just like, what are we doing? To turn it on its head, I would say, okay, so what area in the average American or British child's life are they told to shut the fuck up and get on with it? In what area of their life are they taught to get punched in the face and punch back? None. There's just none. There's nothing. Nothing. There's nothing that leaves the child with the self-respect and the confidence to say, I can fucking take it. I can take it. I can deal. I can do this. Nothing. We took all that away. How do we not? Like, I know you're more along this way of thinking than I am, but even I'm like, that to me looks like a deliberate effort to weaken the morale of a whole generation.
Yep. I mean, what kept me going and what makes me actually potent was the idea, since I was a kid, that I can get through anything. The beginning was like, I thought I was like Wolverine. I'm going to heal good. Like, I had my appendix taken out at 8 years old. I'm like, I'm going to heal back faster than they tell me. They're going to tell me 2 months. I'm going to do it in 4 weeks. And I did. So those are the little like things that are in my head that still keep me going, to be like, you can be strong. You can pass this. You can get through this. You can learn. And a lot of people do not have that because they're being mollycoddled into, that situation. They're like,
and to just hammer the point, they're not just being told you can be weak. You can. Of course, you should tell a child there are moments you're not going to be able to take it. But you have to balance that message with, and you can also be strong. So you say to a child, you can be weak, but you can also be strong. When you change it to, you must be weak or we'll ignore you. And you look at all the other kids in the class, ADHD, dyslexia, blah, blah, blah. Well, she has a personal tutor for her exams. He's allowed to carry a textbook into his exams. He automatically gets 15% added to his final grade. Mm-hmm. This is real shit. I worked in the education system. They've been doing this for 20 years. If you get the diagnosis, you can get a 15% increase in your grade. And I'm sat there like a dickhead. Like a fucking clown, not taking a piece of this pie. What do I need to say? Just tell the fucking school counselor you're fucking depressed and you thought about killing yourself. They give you drugs. Tell them you can't read because the words go mixy. You get 15%. What do we do? We're saying to a bunch of children. Do people watching this seriously think? Do people not remember what they were like as teenagers? Work sucks. Studying sucks. Exams suck. I'll take any fucking advantage I could get. I can't sit here and say I wouldn't have fallen to prey to that temptation. I should work really hard while nobody else does. Fuck that.
Right. I mean, I know for sure I would have taken it. Like, I was a kid that was sick. Once I was born, I was a sick little baby, and then I was sick as a child. I had asthma. I still have asthma, but you know, it was a big deal. I took that shit as I gotta go to the nurse. I got, like, whenever the fuck I wanted, I would just go to the nurse and be a little pussy and just sit in the nurse. So I didn't want to be in class or whatever the fuck it was, or send me home to my mom. So I know the temptation, and I know that, like, if you put it in front of me, especially as a child or as a kid, if I'm smart enough, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna take this option. If I'm just clever enough, I'm like, I don't want to do this shit. I'm gonna be over here, you know. So that's the issue. Like, let's circle back real quick, because I want to make one more point about Joe Rogan. I wrote it down because I was forgetting when I need to talk. What I think is happening, especially with Joe Rogan, is that, as far as for me, and I'm sure for a lot of people as well, he made it cool to be honest, and he made it cool to take accountability.
Yeah.
And that's what scares the government and the mass media outlets.
And listen, scope for growth. Joe Rogan of today is not Joe Rogan of 12 years ago. I sat listening to him talk to an epidemiologist. It's like one of his recent podcasts, the one right before the British Muslim extremist podcast. And he's sitting with an epidemiologist. Guy's an expert in viruses. And he's questioning him along a line of reasoning that is at PhD level. He putting a fucking virologist professor on his toes. This is not Joe Rogan, bro, stand-up comedy, punch a guy in the face, take DMT, aliens. He was that. But this is a guy who, between the ages of like maybe younger than me, like 40 and 54, he's a different entity now. That's a different Joe Rogan. This guy's smart, and he's thinking about what he's saying, and he's learning as he goes. I defy anybody to tell me that Joe Rogan is some sort of redneck fucking right-wing moron after listening to him do that interview with this epidemiologist. It's really crystal clear. And as the epidemiologist is trying to flim-flam him and trying to put him off and give him bullshit, he's down the line. He's not having it. He's becoming like an investigative journalist, but a high-level one. So it's a different Joe Rogan, man. This is a different beast.
Absolutely. So we're about to close it out. What's next for the Richard Grannon YouTube channel, for Richard Grannon as a person? What's next? What you trying to do?
I think I'm going to be talking more along the lines of the ongoing culture war. I'm going to be doing more to do with like current events and things that are going on in the world. I'm going to be more comfortable doing that. I think my followers who will also appreciate that a little bit more. So yeah, it's going to expand now. And I've already started shooting that material that will start coming out over the next couple of weeks. The book will be out in 2 months' time. The publishers are all over my arse at the moment. And the documentary on narcissism will be out in the fall. So it should be a good year.
Okay. That's what's up. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to, see what you did with the book. I'm going to have to read the book. I don't read many books, but I'm going to have to read that book.
I'll do it on audio as well. There'll be an audio version of the book.
Okay. So, yeah, that I could deal with. If you're just playing in the background and I put it back. Oh, I didn't hear that part. I'll just bring it back real quick. But so where can they find you? All the things. Let them know where they can find you, how they can reach Richard Grannon.
The fastest place to get me is Instagram is the most up to date, and behind that is Telegram. So whatever I'm doing, it goes on Instagram, it goes on Telegram. So those are the places to look.
All right, no doubt. Oh, by the way, on Telegram, I went on there to just like I went on there actually to promote the song that we did together, and I was like, all right, let me just go up here and promote it because I figured they would appreciate it. you got a couple people on there, street extreme dipshits, extreme assholes, like just out there talking crazy.
What were they saying to you?
Crazy. Well, like one of them called me a faggot.
All right, that Telegram chat is getting closed.
Just letting you know. I know some of them really love the chat and they love to talk and tell, their stories and shit that went on. I'm not the type of person that goes and just starts telling my whole story like that.
But yeah, no, I'll just close it, mate.
Yeah, you got a few people in there and there's a little suspect, a little sus, But anyway, we're done here. Thanks everybody in the chat. Thanks everybody who's gonna leave comments afterwards. Make sure you like and subscribe. Put the bell. Check out my merch site. It's streetshamans.net. Dope clothes on there. Feel free to donate if you want to. This is Richard Grannon, Shamanic Poe, Street Shaman Podcast, and we out of here, motherfuckers.